Welcome to the Draft Professor, everybody. I am joined today by Hussam, and we're going to do some Miami Dolphins mock drafts. Hussam, I think this is the first Draft Professor podcast that you and I have been on together. I want to say welcome to the channel. How are you doing on this fine Super Bowl Sunday?
I appreciate it. I'm kind of excited to be doing this and also to be watching the Super Bowl as well. I think a big thing, especially, something I know for the Super Bowl, is that both of these Super Bowl teams were heavily invested in the draft, specifically, the Seattle Seahawks, a little bit with the New England Patriots. They also had, a lot of money spent on free agents, but more so the Seattle Seahawks. And with general manager John Schneider, leading the drafts the last 10 years, I obviously, I'm a Miami Dolphins guy. This will be a very heavy Miami Dolphins mock draft centered podcast. So one thing I want to mention is, the Dolphins just got a brand new general manager in John Eric Sullivan, who comes from, the Green Bay scouting line of Brian Gutekunst, and, namely even John Schneider as well, which, John Eric Sullivan, or his nickname Sully, you could say, work with in his time as a scout in Green Bay. So a lot of similarities between what Seattle has selected and what their draft philosophy has been and what John Eric Sullivan brings into.
Yeah, and this should be a lot of fun to do this with you. If you look at Miami's roster right now, is there something that you think that the draft needs to address specifically?
I think for this draft, what Miami really needs is young, athletic talent. And I go back to this quote that new Miami Dolphins head coach Jeff Hafley and John Eric Sullivan had said in their, introductory presser is controlled aggression and controlled chaos. They need defenders along the linebacker and defensive back unit that can control the game, that can, create chaos for opposing offenses. And, for the offenses specifically, the Dolphins offensive line, they need young, nimble, athletic maulers along the offensive line because they're going to be building this team throughout the draft. And one thing about, those Green Bay scouts and with John Eric Sullivan, it's all about athletic thresholds and if they can play throughout the whistle as well. One big thing in which I'm going to note as we do these mock drafts is the players, that are being selected that we'll talk through need to meet the athletic testing averages as well. They also need to be able to have played 2 full seasons without missing, one or 2 games with an injury. Because guess what? Under Chris Greer, the Dolphins had a lot of injury-prone picks for the last 10 years. So this is one thing that this Dolphins draft will heavily focus on is football players that can play a lot.
Okay, well, we're going to be using the Draft Professor simulator. I hope you've got some players in mind. And we're going to be doing a couple of different special options on Draft Professor. But the first thing we're going to do to kind of get warmed up is we're going to do a Miami Dolphins, and then we're going to do this thing called the First Round Fanatic Challenge. So a first round challenge is doing 5 unique 1-round drafts. So the simulator will not let Hussam pick the same player twice. And it's going to give him 5 different scenarios in round 1. So the first scenario, Mendoza, Bain, Tate, Reese, Maui Noah, Tyson, Downs, Styles, Fano, Bailey, with the Dolphins on the clock at 11. So if the draft went like this, Hussam, who is BPA for you for Miami right now?
If you could scroll down a little bit more, it would be appreciated. Okay, so you got a lot of good prospects there. Is there any way we could potentially trade down?
No, no trades here.
No trades here.
You got to stick and pick. Who's BPA if it happens this way? Yes.
All right. If who is BPA, the first player I'm selecting just based off of the board and their consensus ranking right here would be Auburn edge rusher Keldrick Falk. And I'll talk a little bit about Keldrick Falk right here. Okay, the Dolphins really need a pass rusher to complement Bradley Chubb and Chop Robinson. They had just traded away Jalen Phillips to the Philadelphia Eagles. And look, the Miami Dolphins pass rush was pretty much non existent and could not get there with four-man pressures. They were ranked bottom 10 of the league in four-man pressure success rate. What you're getting in Keldrick Falk, and I actually did a podcast about this last week with our own Dolphins-centric podcast. His archetype is a pocket compressor. Okay, for sure. If you see the film, he's an elite run defender. He's a long arm bully. He's got interior and outside versatility, and he's one of those guys that can collapse the pocket. He's got 30% of his pass rushes inside. So wasn't necessarily productive last season, but he gives you that versatility where you can put a guy like Zach Sealer on the outside or Kenneth Grant more so as a 5-tech to bully those interior guards. He fits the measurables of Jeff Hafley's defense. He's 6'6", 285. He's not going to be the stat chaser, but he allows other people to win, and that's exactly what you saw at Auburn. So he needs to be able to collapse the pocket, get those double teams, and let guys like Zach Sealer, former Miami Dolphins first-round pick, Kenneth Grant also win some pass rush snaps. He'll be a 5-tech guy. He can, slide on the inside on those, rundowns as well. But I would not expect him to be the premier pass rusher for Miami in his rookie season if he was the pick.
Okay. So the simulator starts a second mock, right? And so Keldrick Falk went in the first mock. In the second mock, the simulator sniped Falk before the Dolphins were on the board at 11. So a player dropped. I believe last time the Commanders took Downs. Downs went to Seattle this time. But anyway, so new mock, it's Mendoza, Bain, Reese, Maui Noah, Tyson, Falk, Styles, Downs, Bailey. Who is BPA for you in this situation?
I noticed that Ova Vega Ione is still there, and he's actually rated super, super high compared to his consensus as a guard. If I'm taking a look at pick number 11, that's a premium draft pick. Guards aren't necessarily a premium draft pick. Then I see Mansour Delane, Spencer Fano, and Casey Concepcion. I'm immediately taking a look at Utah offensive lineman Spencer Fano for sure. The Miami Dolphins already have a left tackle in Patrick Paul, but they also need a right tackle. And Spencer Fano can kind of fit that mold, especially coming from that wide zone, outside zone scheme in Utah. Miami will be continuing that, even though Mike McDaniel is not the play caller. They do have Bobby Slowick as the offensive coordinator. Now, they do have a right tackle in Austin Jackson, but Austin Jackson has had some injury concerns, every single year except the year he was fully healthy and got a massive contract extension. He wasn't healthy last season, and it led to the Dolphins' passing game and running game taking a little bit of a slowdown. But, man, Spencer Fano fits this Miami Dolphins offensive line.
So Anthony's got a question. So Anthony is a loyal follower of this channel, huge Miami Dolphins fan. Do you think Crownover can go to right tackle for Miami?
I'm sorry, who?
Demetrius Crownover, I believe he is the Texas A&M tackle. I don't know that I would take Crownover round one.
I'm gonna be
But
honest. I don't think I've watched him or heard so much about him, so I would not be able
okay.
to actually answer. But back to Fano, I mean, immediate starting caliber tackle can definitely help out in the run game. Help the right side of the Miami Dolphins offensive line, help push forward Devon A. Chain, Ollie Gordon, and with Fano, he actually brings a little bit of power too in the run game. He needs some work and pass protection. Yes, he's got the foot quickness and stuff like that, but he's going to need to add a little bit more functional strength and mass to really be able to handle those NFL defensive linemen. But this is one of those guys that, again, fits what John Eric Sullivan is looking for. Hasn't had that many big injuries. 6'6", big long arms, very, very nimble, and he's projected to have a 4.9 40. When I take a look at the athletic drafting averages from what Green Bay has taken a look at, like Brian Gutekunst, for example, for tackles, the 40 time is usually 5.13. That well on beats the average so far from what Spencer Fano is projected to run at. But I feel really, really good as this, has a continuity of the same offensive scheme.
Okay. Simulator gives us a third mock. In this one, Falk and Fano are off the board before the Bengals pick. David Bailey is available. Is there a player you like at 11 that would be better than David Bailey or Mekhi Lemon?
I am really tempted to take Mekhi Lemon at 11, but there has also been this guy that has been available the past two mock drafts as well, and that's Mansour Delane, defensive back out of LSU. 100% fits the mold of what Jeff Hafley is looking for, not necessarily for zone coverage, but more so for, press coverage, that outside man, that guy that can guard the X wide receiver. Okay. He's got phenomenal coverage instincts. Now, he does have that flexibility. If you're looking at a Jeff Hafley defense, it's a very zone heavy system. And before he was at LSU, he was at Virginia Tech, which was pretty zone heavy. So he has that scheme versatility. And the Dolphins, right now they have a lot of free agents that are defensive backs. The only guys who are in the defensive backs room right now under contract post March 15th is Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jason Marshall Jr. I'm blanking on another safety that they just got that they signed to a future contract who was part of the Green Bay Packers. And they had also drafted another safety last year as well. So they really do need a young, physical corner. You're playing with a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC that have really good wide receivers. Now, look, if the Dolphins pass rush can't get there, their coverage needs to be tight. They need to be intact as well. And Mansour Delane helps with that while Minkah Fitzpatrick covers the back end.
Okay. So the simulator starts a fourth mock. Keldrick Falk, Spencer Fano, Mansour Delane, all snipe before pick 11. So David Bailey's there. And I believe, Mekhi Lemon's a little bit further down. Peter Woods is also here. Thoughts on what you would do at pick 11?
I'm going to be honest. This fourth one, I would definitely go with Mekhi Lemon. Okay. Outside of Jalen Waddle, the Miami Dolphins don't have any other wide receiver that can threaten the top off, opposing defenses. Yes, Tyreek Hill right now is still on the roster, but it looks like Tyreek Hill won't be on the Dolphins roster come March 15th. He's got a little bit of that Jackson Smith and Jigba and Amon Ross St. Brown type of wide receiver build. He's like a combination of them. And he will help to open up some things for Jalen Waddle. And there's actually been some research done where if you have an elite wide receiver 1 and a above average to good wide receiver too, that opens up a lot of things in the passing game. It also opens up the running game. And that's what Miami has lacked. They've lacked a solid number two without Tyreek Hill there and Jalen Waddle commanding all that attention. Now, look, he's 5'11, right? Same way as Jalen Waddle is, but he's that slot dominant archetype where intelligence and technique compensates for blazing speed and that prototype size. With all the motions that this Miami offense has, and it looks to be that they'll keep most of the offensive core and the philosophy intact. We'll be able to win off the line using those motions as well. And those quick game concepts that Miami has lacked the last 2 seasons should be available in Bobby Slowick's arsenal, and that could unlock Kai Lemon's full potential and also bring up some deep shots for Jalen Waddle. And it can take away the amount of too high shells that the Dolphins offense has played for the last 2 years. So Makai Lemon at 11 feels like a stretch, but it's still a very, very good pick from what wide receiver archetypes like Makai Lemon, Jackson Smith-Jigba, and Amon-Ra St. Brown have done.
Okay, so the fifth mock, Lemon's off the board. Falk, Fano, Delane are off the board. Miami is on the board, on the clock at 11. Who do you pick?
This one's easy. It's the first guy right there on the board. It's going to be Francis Mauigoa. Okay, 350-pound frame. He's built like a refrigerator, stays in Miami as well. Now, look, he might not be the starting right tackle for the Miami Dolphins, but he definitely does fit as a right guard, which Miami has not had any good right guards for the last 5-6 years. And he solidifies that line. And if Austin Jackson is still on the team, he can slowly, slide over to that right tackle position. He's 6'5", 6'6", I want to say. He's got the height for it. He's got the weight for it, although he might need to put in a little bit of mass as well. He can move up to the second level. I remember reading somewhere where in his 10-yard split, he almost ran at 17 miles per hour. So he's got that burst, especially in that running game. He's a mauler. He's physical, hasn't had a lot of injuries, but he needs to have a little bit more endurance up against those speed rushers, and especially in the AFC West Conference. AFC East Conference with those speed rushers with the Patriots, Bills, and the Jets. He might not be the best value overall, but he gives them continuity on the offensive line.
Yeah. I don't think it's a sign that you gave up on Savanea. You need 5 offensive linemen, and good offensive line coaches will move players around. I can remember a year where Buffalo's right tackle, week 1, got kicked into guard, and we started a new right tackle 3 or 4 more games into the season when they realized Spencer Brown had the chops to play. So to me, Anthony, you draft good offensive linemen, and one of the reasons you draft good offensive linemen early is offense is unique in that there's 6 players that play 100% of the snaps, right? Your 5 offensive linemen and your quarterback play 100% of the snaps. If you hit on an offensive lineman, that's a position you don't need to draft for the next 10 years. So you're removing like a position of need to take on day 1 or day 2 of the draft for the better part of a decade. So the goal is to draft an offensive lineman and you hit on him. So I think Savanea should be playing guard, but he was victimized because the other offensive linemen around him weren't playing that well. A lot of guys got hurt. I know Kyle Krabs has talked about that too. So, okay, Hussam, how do you feel after doing those 5 first-round drafts?
I feel good, but man, I really wish Caleb Downs was available at number 11 because he is the exact type of player on Jeff Hafley's defense that is needed, and he plays with controlled aggression. That's something John Eric Sullivan and Jeff Hafley need on the secondary.
So this simulator is based upon what the fans and the followers of Draft Professor do, right? So this isn't about where he is on a big board for PFF or PFFSN or whatever, right? It's all about how do the people that follow the Draft Professor and that support our content, how do they draft? So for the first round challenge, we never got to do Caleb Downs, but good for you that I've developed this thing called Fanatic Mode. So I have flipped that on. I've bumped it up to 8. We're going to do a 3-round draft for Miami. So this means we're going to do 8 3-round drafts for Miami. And Miami has 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, 5 of the top 90 picks. So it won't let you pick the same player twice. And I think this will give us the Caleb Downs to Miami mock that you're looking for. Eventually, it won't be the first one, but I think we're eventually going to get there. So if you look, you notice how Delane is now higher than Vega, right? That happened because of the first round challenge that you did, right? So before the players were in a different order. So the simulator is interactive, and because you skipped Vega 5 times, it dropped him on the board just a little bit, right? So we're starting Fanatic Mode. We're going to do 8 straight Dolphins mocks. The mock draft right now is Mendoza, Bain, Tate, Reese, Maui Noah, Tyson, Downs, Styles, Fano, Bailey. So if the board fell this way, last time you picked Falk, is it the same pick this time?
Yeah, I would pick Falk.
Okay, so you do Keldrick, Falk round 1. What are you thinking in round 2?
I want to see what the board looks like because how they're going to draft is going to be BPA. Okay. All right. You got Julian Neal, Tiernan, Bernard, Dunker, Cooper. What else do you have? Brazel, Sissy, Ramsey.
And keep in mind, all of this is based upon user behavior. So don't assume that the users of the simulator think the same way you do. Bad assumption. Are there specific players or positions that you're looking for?
I'm looking at safety and offensive lineman right now.
So safety, offensive tackle, interior. So Tiernan, Dunker, Ramsey, Kilgore, Halsey, Barber, Blake Miller, Bud Clark, Cage Casey. I'm going to go verify. Yeah, Monroe Freeling went a couple picks before you. Caden Proctor's off the board. Max Ihina-Core is also off the board.
Okay. Is there any wide receiver available?
Definitely. Bernard, Cooper, Brazel, Hurst, Antonio Williams.
I think if we could go back to safety, I would choose Kamari Ramsey.
Okay. And then what are you thinking you're going to do in round 3 after taking an edge and a safety?
I want to see an offensive lineman. I want to see a wide receiver. And I want to see a linebacker as well.
So what offensive lineman are you looking for in round 3?
I'm more so looking for a developmental right tackle or guard. So we got Worrell, Williams, Bell, Tross, Bowery, Wagner. Not fun. Not fun.
Yeah.
Those
okay.
offensive
Interior, Armaj Reed Adams, Connor Liu, Bo Stevens, Parker Brailsford, Josh Thompson, Jake Slaughter on the interior.
And those offensive linemen are gone. The real good ones are gone.
Yep.
Okay, so wide receiver.
So wide receiver, Fields is there, Lane is there, Antonio Williams, Skylar Bell, Eric Rivers, Lewis Bond.
And what do we got for linebackers?
Linebackers, York is there, Barton is there, Fisher is there. Kyle Lewis probably is. He's just a little bit. Golday is also here.
Yeah. Golday is actually really, really good there, and he's way down there.
No, don't worry about way down. It just means nobody's picked him.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Kyle Lewis is available too. I would pick Kyle Lewis right there at that spot. A little bit underrated at that point. Miami needs a complementary linebacker piece that can work with Jordan Brooks as well. He had a fantastic, I believe he was at the Shrine Bowl or one of the bowls, and he was actually listed as one of the winners as well. I think he's what 6'2", I want to say six
Oh
two
yeah,
six
six
or six
two.
one.
He's about 215. You got yourself a great player for the slot.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, wow,
So
Buddy
now
Marshall.
we're on the clock at pick 87. You've gone Keldrick Falk, Kamari Ramsey, Kyle Lewis.
Do we have any tight ends available?
Definitely.
Max
Claire, Raridan, Wright, Royer, Stowers.
would 100% go Max Clare here. They need a receiving tight end. All
Okay.
right.
And then the last third round pick, you've gone Falk, Ramsey, Lewis, Claire. You haven't done offensive line or wide receiver.
If we could go down a little bit more. Ooh, this looks like it's going to be a very defensive heavy draft. I would go Bud Clark right here.
Even after going Kamari Ramsey in round 2?
Yes, even after going Kamari Ramsey in round 2, because the way the defense would operate is that it sounds like Ramsey and Minkah Fitzpatrick would switch a lot between being the nickel defender in the slot or one of the single high safeties. They do a lot of that in Jeff Hafley's defense where they have 3 safeties on the field.
Okay, so the simulator immediately starts a second mock draft, and it makes sure that Keldrick Falk gets sniped before pick 11.
And Arvell Reese picked right before too.
Yep.
I think right here I would go with Mekhi Lemon. You can't have enough good wide receivers for sure. I think I spoke about it earlier.
Okay, so you go Mekhi Lemon in round 1. When we get to round 2, the simulator will make sure that Kamari Ramsey, who you took in the previous mock, has been sniped from you. So he's not available at pick 43. So with Mekhi Lemon in round 1, what are you going to look to do in round 2?
Could you show me the list of BPA and scroll down a little bit more? Could you show me the safeties?
Yep. So Kilgore, Halsey, Taff.
All right. Could you show me the offensive tackles and interior linemen?
So offensive tackles, Tiernan, Barber, Miller, World are there. And then interior, Dunker, Casey, Rutledge, Parker.
I think I would go with Brian Parker because he has that interior and right tackle flexibility that Miami really needs.
Overcorrecting from the last mock where you took 4 players on defense. You start off the bang, Mekhi Lemon, Brian Parker on offense. So we're in round 3 now at pick 75. What are you looking to do?
If you could scroll down a little bit more. Ooh, you got Keontae Scott or Jacob Rodriguez. I would go with Keontae Scott right here. They do need a nickel guy and an aggressive guy as well that can play that. Okay. We got Mekhi Lemon, Brian Parker Jr., Keontae Scott. Okay. We
haven't taken a safety yet. Genesis Smith, Michael Taft, Zakee Wheatley, Jalen Husky.
I would get Zakee Wheatley right there from Penn State.
And so that's Lemon, Parker, Scott, Wheatley. Haven't taken a tight end. Haven't taken an edge.
Well, who do we got for edge now?
So Joseph's is there, Llewellyn.
Wesley, Tyreek Sapp, Kamara guy.
Look,
What about
the edge board is getting thinner.
yeah?
Look, Barham is there.
Mm-hmm. Barham is there. Now, what does the linebacker group look like? Lawson.
York, Barton, Fisher. And from mock to mock, most of these boards aren't going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Just generally speaking, fanatic mode is going to keep the drafts going consistent, and you have to find the value on the board. There's going to be basically one player per round that drops based upon the machine sniping you from the players that you took previously.
And could we see tight end one more time?
Yeah. So Raritan, Wright, Royer, Stowers, Endries.
I would take Endries.
Okay. So an Endries was 143. Good demo at the end. Okay, so the simulator starts the third mock. In the third mock, Falk and Lemon are sniped before pick 11. So last time I think you were talking about Fano or Delane in this situation. Peter Woods is also available. Granted, Miami did a good job of investing in defensive tackle last year. Yeah. So thoughts on what you would do in this situation?
I would go with Fano. Yeah.
Okay. So we go Fano. You fixed right tackle in round 1. What are you thinking of in round 2?
You got Neal, Tiernan, Bernard. What does the safety look like? Kilgore.
So safeties, Kilgore, Halsey are there in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Taft.
What does the edge group look like?
The edges in round 2 include Romello Height, Gabe Akis, Dennis Sutton. Lawrence is there.
Oh, actually, I would go with the LT Overton because he's more of a fit and 3 down lineman interior and on the outside for Hafley. So LT Overton, fixing the trenches first and foremost.
Yep. Okay, so this mock, it's Fano Overton. And you haven't done safety, corner, or wide receiver as you enter round 3.
Mm-hmm. What does wide receiver look like?
So wide receiver includes Fields, Lane, Williams. Skylar Bell is there. Eric Rivers, Lewis Bond.
What does safety look like?
Genesis Smith, Michael Taft, Jalen Husky.
I would go with, if you could go back to wide receiver again.
Okay.
I would go with Skylar Bell.
Love it. So you go Fano, Overton, Skylar Bell. You have 2 more third-round picks. You haven't done safety or corner yet.
I would go
with Rodriguez is there, and there's a good chance Golday might be there too.
Yeah, I would go with Jacob Rodriguez here. Be a fantastic partner with Jordan Brooks. And then let's see what safety looks like.
Genesis Smith, Michael Taft.
I would take Taffy here. I would say that's a good mock. Very balanced.
Fano, Overton, Bell, Rodriguez, Taft.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Now we go.
So we go Francis Maui Noah, round 1. What are you thinking in round 2? And the simulator learns who you like, so they won't be available. So meaning that if we look right before the Dolphins round 2 pick, Brian Parker Jr. and LT Overton have been sniped before the Dolphins pick at 43.
Great. Let's see. Let's keep going down.
So Anthony Hill Jr. did drop,
as
did Omar Cooper Jr. I don't know that he was there every time.
Yeah, I would take Omar Cooper Jr. here.
Okay, so we go Maui Noah, Omar Cooper Jr. in rounds 1 and 2. What are you thinking in round 3?
Okay.
And the simulator makes sure that the players that you've liked, such as Bud Clark and Max Clare, have been sniped before your pick. Skylar Bell, sniped. Keontae Scott, sniped. Kyle Lewis, sniped. So the simulator begins to learn who you like, and it won't let you draft them.
What does a wide receiver look like?
Fields, Lane, Williams.
I would go with the Jacoby Lane here.
Get big X target on the outside. So you double dip wide receiver, Maui Noah, Cooper, Lane. What are you looking at with the next round 3 pick?
What does CB look like?
Prysock, Dixon, Igbinosun.
I would go with Traydon Stukes right here. That's real good value.
Oh, yeah. You definitely get yourself a great slot corner there. So Maui Noah, Cooper, Lane, Stukes.
And what does
Keelan Rutledge dropped to round 3?
Yeah.
He wasn't there.
What does safety look like?
Smith, Husky.
What does edge look like?
Llewellyn.
Moore right here. Yeah.
You said Moore?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the 4th of the 8 mocks, and they get harder as you go because the players that you like get sniped.
Yeah.
That's the basic idea, right?
Yeah.
So in this one, Falk, Lemon, Fano, Maui Noah, all players that you've already picked have been sniped. This looks like it's Mansour Delane against the field. Sonny Styles is available.
Oh, yes, 100%. Sonny Styles. 100%.
You didn't hesitate. I absolutely love that. So you go Styles in round 1. What are you thinking in round 2, knowing that it's going to snipe all the players that you picked in round 2 before you? So the players that you've liked include Brian Parker, LT Overton, Omar Cooper, sniped before the Dolphins pick at 43.
What is we keep scrolling down a little bit more? I would go with
DeSantis drop.
Zion Young.
Zion Young.
Yeah.
You said Zion Young?
Yep.
Love that pick. Some people at Draft Professor have a first-round grade on him. So getting him in round 2 to me feels like a steal. So definitely overhauled the front 7 on defense with Sonny Styles and Zion Young in round 1 and 2. What are you thinking in round 3?
What does the wide receiver group look like?
Fields, Williams, Rivers. Again, the wide receiver board probably isn't going to get too much better. If you know who you're looking for, we have to keep our eye if that player dropped. But generally with each of these, the board's going to get thinner as you go.
Yeah, the board actually dropped for the guy I was looking at. It'll be Notre Dame wide receiver Malachi Fields.
Okay. Another big X target in round 3. So that's Styles, Young, Fields. And you got 2 more round 3 picks.
All right. What does safety and corner look like? So we got Genesis, Husky, Thomas. And what does the interior offensive lineman look like?
So for interior offensive line, Rutledge, Bo Stevens, Parker Brailsford, Jake Slaughter. And then for corner, Prysock, Dixon, Igbinosun.
So if you go back to interior offensive lineman, and I would pick up Keelan Rutledge.
Okay. So that's Styles, Young, Fields, Rutledge with 1 more round 3 pick left.
And what does the tight end room look like?
Michael Trigg dropped in this one. Yep. He was not there before.
I would grab Trigg.
There you go. I like it when you immediately see, okay, that player wasn't there before. That's the guy I go grab. That's the basic spirit of fanatic mode. So
Yeah.
we're doing the 6th of the 8 unique mocks. In this one, Falk, Lemon, Fano, Maui Noah, Styles, all sniped before the Dolphins pick at 11. What would you do?
All right, let's keep scrolling down. All right, I would go with Peter Woods right here.
Hey, bulk up the interior, definitely BPA. And you took Woods over Delane that time.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So we go Woods. And then in round 2, the players that you've liked include Kamari Ramsey, Brian Parker, LT Overton, Omar Cooper Jr., Zion Young, all sniped before you're on the clock at pick 43.
And then I would take Julian Neal right here because he's been available every single time, and I feel bad for continuing to skip him, and he feels the need to.
Yeah, and ironically, it's funny you say that because the Packers fans on the simulator love Neal too.
Yep.
So, right, the fact that Miami has a former Packers GM, that makes a lot of sense. So Woods and Neal in rounds 1 and 2. What are you thinking in round 3?
What does the offensive tackle look like right now? Barber,
World, Williams,
Bowery, Wagner, Shelton, Crownover.
over.
And what does interior look like? The interior offensive lineman? Armagelu, Bow, Slaughter, Coogan, Roberts. If you could go up a little bit more. What does the wide receiver room look like? Ooh. And what about the edge room? This is getting harder.
That's the idea.
Yeah. I do have Woods already. I also have Neal. What about the linebacker room?
Gold Day is there.
Still there. Let's take a look at the tight end room.
Delp, Raritan, Wright,
Eli Stovers. I would go grab Eli Stovers.
Get yourself a pass catching tight end.
He can block too. Not the best blocker, but he can block too. All right, I would pick up Austin Barber right here.
Okay. Late round 3, love that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we have one more pick. So this draft is Peter Woods, Julian Neal, Eli Stowers, Austin Barber.
All right, let's try to scroll down a little bit more. Shambliss Nuss. I would go with Genesis Smith right here.
Okay, so now we're getting some mocks that you don't see very much. So in this mock, Falk, Lemon, Fano, Maui Noah, Styles, and Woods all snipe before your pick. And
Arvell Reese. Oh, just go straight to the board. Arvell Reese. Go Arvell.
Love it. Okay, so you get Arvell Reese in round 1. What are you thinking in round 2? Knowing that it's going to snipe all of your favorite round 2 players before your pick.
Mm-hmm. You got Reese. Cece is available too. Brazil, Bernard. I don't really like Dunker still here. I would grab Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
Love it.
This is some good value right here.
Yeah, and I don't know that McNeil Warren was available the previous ones that we did.
Nah, he was not. He was going in the first round.
Yep. And that's why I encourage people, like, come into Fanatic mode. You're going to be able to see some different situations that you may have not been in on this simulator or other ones. So,
All right, let's try to scroll down a little bit.
So we're looking at a round 3 board here.
Let's go grab Nick Singleton.
Grabbing a running back. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It goes
And
up.
Darian Price is also there. Would you take Singleton over Price?
I would keep Singleton so that way I can get Price later.
Okay. Okay, so Reese, McNeil, Warren, Singleton. And we still have 2 more round 3 picks left. Is there any other offensive lineman that you would consider for Miami in round 3 that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I would go grab Casey.
Love it. Casey, round 3. And then any other, let's see, what other positions? You've been looking at edge. Granted, you got Reese in this one. You haven't taken a corner and you haven't taken a wide receiver.
Can we take a look at the corner room?
And Prysock, Dixon, Igbinosun, Rivers, Muhammad.
Could we go to wide receiver? I would go grab Antonio Williams.
Okay. I love it. Again, they get, like you said, they get a little bit harder each time you do this. This is your 8th and final mock, and your guy finally dropped.
Yeah, I would go definitely and run to the podium for Downs.
Caleb Downs, 11th overall to Miami. What are you thinking you're going to look for in round 2? Again, knowing it's going to snipe every player that you've already picked.
Yeah, I would go grab Jeremy Bernard here. Or Jeremy Bernard.
Jeremy Bernard, round 2. Love the Bernard pick. This, to me, feels like his range. I don't know that he falls too much further in the draft. I think nearly everybody has him as a top 50 player. So you get Downs, Bernard, rounds 1 and 2. Oscar Delp is dropped to round 3. You haven't taken an edge yet.
Yep.
You haven't taken a linebacker yet.
Yep. Let's see what the edge room looks like. Ooh, I would go grab Romello Height.
Milo Height, round 3. That feels like really good value. Downs, Bernard, Romello Height. 2 more round 3 picks left.
What would the interior offensive line look like? Yeah, would go get Bo Stevens right here.
Love it. Bo Stevens, round 3. And then Downs, Bernard, Height, Stevens. This is the final pick of the Fanatic mode.
All right, what does the linebacker room look like?
Golday's still there. Helps if I know how to spell. There we go.
Yep.
Golday.
Go grab Golday right there.
Okay, and Golday was 324. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, this entire simulator algorithm is based on how often somebody's picked. So Golday was that far down the Dolphins board because nobody had picked him for Miami yet. Right? But once you pick them, the player is higher. So let me give everybody kind of an idea. So Golday was 324 when Hussam picked him. If you go to the team needs section of the site, you'll be able to see the Miami Dolphins player board. And I'll show you several of the players that Hussam picked have moved up the board. So give this page a second to calculate. It's doing a bunch of calculations. We're going to go to Miami, and there's a player list right here. So if you look at the player list, this is the order of the players for Miami you can get an idea. The higher somebody is, the more often they're picked. So if you look, Reese, Maui Noah, Downs, those players are frequently drafted by Miami, as is Tate, Fano, Falk, right? Those are all players that we have discussed on this podcast today. If we look at Golday, he's 104. He was 324 when we picked him. If we look at Overton was 113 when you picked him. I think you picked him in round 2. He moved up to player 55. If you look at Endries was 143 when you picked him. He moved up 40 spots. Kyle Lewis was 285. He moved up to 86. So, Hussam, you feel okay with all those mock drafts you just did?
I do.
Which one was your favorite?
Is
it Caleb Downs?
Could you go back and look? Because I want to see.
At this point, I've moved off of that screen. So.
I think with Arvell Reese there, that one, okay. I think that was good value throughout that draft.
Okay.
And you get an impact player too for the first 2 picks.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to do this with Draft Professor. Do you want to take a moment, introduce yourself to everybody watching, tell them about your draft content, your podcast, and everything else that you do?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually work with offensive lineman Coach Smith, who's also part of the Draft Professors group as well. We have our own Miami Dolphins podcast called Scouting the Fins with the 3 Yards Per Carry Dolphins podcast group. Last week, we started our draft series for the Miami Dolphins, and we took a look at the edge rushers, and we built in the archetypes for Jeff Hafley's defense and what John Eric Sullivan would like to take a look at in terms of the players he wants. This upcoming week after the Super Bowl, we'll be looking at the defensive line and linebacker group as well. If you want to follow more of that, you can take a look at my Twitter, which is down below, at Hussam Patel, and you can listen to our podcast as well, and anything and everything in Miami Dolphins.
Okay. Definitely tell Eric I said hello. Eric has been one of the earliest supporters of this channel. I appreciate that man to pieces. So yeah. I did not know that you podcasted with Eric, but I appreciate you taking the time. I appreciate all of the time that Eric gave me early on when I was first starting this. So you get, and obviously I'm a Bills fan, you guys are Dolphins fans, and yet we all still get along in the same room. It's just funny how that works.
In the same room until both of our teams start playing.
Yeah, I'm okay. I can sit down with fans of any team. I'm good. I'm good. I might not behave the same at the stadium, but otherwise I can be civilized.
Yeah.
So I want to let everybody know that Draft Professor does 32 team mocks every Friday. So we do 3 rounds, 32 people picking for 32 teams. And if you're interested, it's at 7 p.m. Eastern every Friday. All you have to do is type your team's picks into the chat. So we'll have 2 people on the podcast. We'll have 30 people in the chat. And you can comment on everybody else's picks. You can try to figure out, hey, who's drafting those safeties that I want? Who's drafting the linebackers that I want? Who's drafting those offensive linemen I want, right? This draft doesn't have many of them, some of those. So you'll get an idea from a draft strategy standpoint, which teams have positional needs and are targeting those specific players. It's a lot of fun. We learn a lot. So that's every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. In addition to that, we are doing Epic Mock 26, which is a 7-round with trades mock draft. That's April 9th, 10th, and 11th. So we're going to have 32 different podcasters running their podcasts while we are doing a mock draft together. But everybody's going to independently do, their drafts and discuss their situations on their own podcast. And then on this feed, you'll see who everybody's taking. We'll be commenting on everybody's picks. And again, that's a lot of fun. April 9th, 10th, and 11th. And if you're interested in Epic Mock, go ahead and reach out to me on X at NFL Draft Fanatic, no I in Fanatic. And again, we're looking for the podcasters that want to participate. So Hussam would be awesome if I can get, I know you and Eric did it last year. So if we can get you guys involved again, that would be great. So with that being said, for Hussam, myself, and everybody at the Draft Professor, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on a podcast again tomorrow. Enjoy the Super Bowl, everybody.